What is up? Season 2 finale, episode 19. Holy shit. It flew by. I'm not gonna lie, it did fly by. I've got a lot of stuff that I'm gonna end it with today. Bear with me. It's not necessarily in order. I'm gonna try to get the homies on. I put thought to it. I am gonna try. We don't know if it's gonna happen. Season 2 finale. Holy shit. Season 1, I plan to do 20 episodes and cut it. And then something happened at the end of it. Couldn't finish the 20th episode because I'm an idiot. And I decided I'm leaving it at 19 episodes and I'm just going to do an intermission episode in between season 1 and season 2. So that's technically season 20, but it's an intermission episode because I was like, hey man, I don't know what I'm going to do or what's happening with the podcast. So this is just an update. So season 2 is 19 episodes as well. And I'll probably, I don't know when, do an intermission episode after this one to give an update on what I'm doing. My idea for the podcast is the first season was a war zone. I was just talking shit about people. I was angry. Season 2, this season, is more YouTube vibes because I've been trying to make YouTube videos, which I've been lacking on that too. And season 3, I'm thinking it's gonna be more of like the podcast setup. Like we got a camera recording me with the mic on the desk, and I'm at the table with the backdrop. Not just like this type of face to the camera style. It's gonna be more of like I'm gonna try to have two different angles, look like an actual podcast setup. This was just because I wanted to make YouTube videos, but I was also thinking since I'm already making YouTube videos, why wouldn't I just record a podcast as well and just talk to the camera for an hour rather than, you know, already looking at the camera and talking, but just playing Call of Duty beside it. I might as well just do both. And for the last episode, that was the only episode in season 2 so far that I've actively had problems uploading. So that's why that one was late. You could tell also, whenever I have a guest on the podcast, this was all I was thinking about while I was editing it. I was like, oh my gosh, you could tell I have Tourette's so much. I mean, of course you could tell just in general because I like be doing the eyebrows and shit. But whenever I have someone actively right here next to me, and I'm like, we're just talking, and I have to think about a response, and I can actively see it so much more whenever I have a guest on. Blew my mind. I was like, wow, that's crazy. It's that obvious. But okay, now this is a little ramble tone before I get into everything because I realized this like a few days ago, and it kind of stunned me a little bit. The comedy club has skewed how I look at celebrities, like completely. Like for example, a few days ago I DM'd Adam Ray because he did a podcast with Uncle Jesse from Full House, and it was in a character. It was a new podcast, first episode. It was a good podcast, but I DM'd him. Within 25 minutes, he replied and was like, "Hey, thanks, man. I was watching Tires 2, which I'm gonna give a review on that later. Foley, H. Foley from Murray Garbage is in there. I messaged Foley. I was like, yo, man, that was you did great in Are You Garbage. That was an awesome role. He responded the same day. Andrew Schultz, which is like a really high up comedian at the moment. I can message him and he'll respond. Like it doesn't land in my mind as it should that these people are insanely famous, but they're approachable, they're connectable, they're not like untouchable. All this stuff that I did not think was like actively happening. It's crazy. So whenever these people come to the comedy club, it's like I'm not shy. I'm not nervous. I'm not like, oh man, that's Billy Gardell. Oh man, he's really famous. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to talk to him. I'm gonna embarrass myself. Hi. No, dude, it's literally the polar opposite. I'll talk to them as if I'm talking to Brandon now. I love it. It makes some of them uncomfortable, I can tell. There was a headliner that came in not too long ago. I didn't know who they were, and they were a little late. Okay, keep in mind, I knew what they were. I knew who they were just from looking at the picture from like comedyoffbroadway.com. But I'm not gonna like openly just, oh, you're the comedian. Nice to meet you. How are you? If you walk into the club, like if I'm the first person you see, I'm not just gonna start the introduction to the tour to the comedy club. I'm just gonna be like, hey, how you doing? That's all I'm gonna. I'm literally gonna be like, how's it going? So he walked in and he was late. I gave him the, hey, how's it going? And he just looked at me as if he was like, oh, I'm the headliner. And I just laughed. I was like, okay. I looked at my watch. I was like, it's a little late. But and then he went upstairs. He was real confused that I didn't address him as, oh, hey man, it was not. Glad you're here. It's gonna be a good show this weekend. No, I'm past that. I was thinking the only person that like I could possibly see at the comedy club and it kind of like stunned me to where I'm like, yo, it's probably like Chappelle, to be honest, because I don't even think Rogan will do it. I think I've gotten so used to the idea of Joe Rogan that I could see Rogan at this point, and he'd be shorter than I expected, and it'd throw me off completely, and I'd be like, ah, fuck this guy. You know, I like Rogan, and he could beat the shit out of me, but he's not gonna intimidate me, like make me nervous or anything. And this is all stuff just I realized from working at the comedy club. Whenever I first started, I could not have talked to anybody. I'm telling you. Like I was so nervous about talking to these celebrities. But then like for example, like Tom Segura came and I had no remorse. I was like, fuck it, I'm getting my book signed. I just walked up to the green room, boom, 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 boom. Hey, can you sign my book, man? Oh yeah, sure. Boom, boom, boom. I don't care who you are. If you're coming to the comedy club, your ego has to be filled in some sort of way to be like recognized for who you are. I'm not gonna give it to you. I'm gonna let the audience give it to you. We're the people who are hosting the establishment. So technically, there doesn't have to be any ass kissing. That was a long roundabout way to say I think I'm jaded to celebrities. And I'm sure I've talked about this on the pod before, but I think there's certain people that'll listen to the pod and not any other episode. So I feel like I'm repeating shit on episodes. But for the person that just listened to the episode 19 and nothing else, I didn't repeat shit. But now for like the Michaels, the Connors, the everyone who JP's, I don't even know if he listens to all of them, but the people who listen to the actually listen to the podcast, I apologize if I'm repeating. Happy motherfucking birthday, my guy.
I appreciate
Yes, sir. By the way, you are officially on the pod.
I'm on the pod.
You're on the pod.
Hey, say less.
Do you have anything to say for your birthday on the pod?
Hmm. Fuck bitches get money.
Mm-mm-mm. Yes, sir.
Here, dog. It's time to put my foot on the gas.
I'm weak. Yes, sir. I'm glad you said gas and not someone's neck. I was going to start to FaceTime one of the homies. Then I realized it was Peyton's birthday. I was like, oh shit, happy birthday, Peyton. And I'm not gonna lie. I was going to have a bunch of us, my homies, call into the podcast. But I realized that I do this podcast way too early. And I was trying to set up the FaceTime thing. I did a thing with Peyton because I just told him happy birthday. I might leave it in. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear it as well as I wanted to. And I was going to play it on the screen where I was just going to, because I have a Mac, so I was going to FaceTime him off the Mac and then just screen record that. But as I was setting it all up, it was going to look goofy. And I was like, the quality wasn't going to look good, so it's not worth it. But just know, season 3, it's going to be revolved not specifically around the homies, but guests. Okay? So season 3 is going to be something completely different, I promise. But this is the last episode, so man, I was thinking, I was like, should I just like air it all out here? This is the last one I'm doing podcast wise. Other than this, I'm going ghost about my life pretty much. I don't talk about me in like the YouTube videos I make. You know what I'm saying? The most I talk about me is like the spam account I have. And I put a lot of shit on there. I really do. I probably shouldn't, but I do. But other than there, that's like I'll talk to people. Some at the comedy club, maybe, but like my friends, my mom. That's pretty much it. I feel like this was the only way people know about my life naturally. If they knew of me and then we just stopped talking, but they're like, "Oh shit, Drew made a podcast." I can start watching that because I was looking at the views. I was like, it's not a lot, which I didn't do this for a lot of views. I did this so I can one get comfortable just whenever I make YouTube videos. Two, season one was sitting there, and so I was like, I'm already doing YouTube videos. Why not just start doing season two for fun? But I was like, this is more people than like that I can count on my hand of like who I think would watch the podcast. Because I've gotten confirmed from some other people, which I was like, that's cool. Still, it's like though that I feel like this is how they get to know shit about me. Well, after this episode, it's gonna. 'Cause I don't know when season three is gonna happen. Nah, jeez. Speaking of, should I fucking air it out? Because I think I've been pretty peaceful for the majority of season two so far, I'd say. I talk shit, of course, because I mean, naturally I do talk shit, but I don't think it was anywhere near as bad as season one. Season one, I was just angry. Hopefully, season three isn't a repeat of season one. Get what I'm saying? I don't know when I'm doing season three. I thought about it and I was like, I would probably want it to be sooner than later so I still have that motivation to make content. Because I'm gonna focus strictly on the YouTube videos and haha lineup and CTZ of course, but I've been focused on CTZ. To be honest with you, I don't know who would be able to request to follow my spam account and me accept it at this point. I've got like 20 people in there that I'm just like, I don't, I don't know. I accept. I mean, some of them I have, but there's like a list of 20 that I'm just like, nah, I don't want y'all to. Why are you trying to follow this? Okay, I guess we can get to the pod now. There's a civil war in the Lexington comedy scene. And whenever I say civil war, I mean there is a 1v20 scenario that is happening, and I don't really know how to take all of it, really. That doesn't make sense, but everyone is together and huddled in a group, throwing stones at the one guy. Now, the one guy, did he do some fuck shit? For sure. For sure. He's a little crazy. I'm not gonna lie, he's a little crazy. And it was all warranted. But they're doing it all on social media is the crazy part. Like, let's see. There was threats involved. There were And I thought all this started from the thing at the open mic. No, 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 no. This was something completely different that I figured out. I was like, oh shit, okay, what is this? This started from a social media post. Someone commented. And I was like, oh my gosh. And whenever I say Civil War, it's not really so well, I will say I looked at some of his comments and some people were actually sticking up for him. And I was like, oh shit. Because if someone sticks up for him, that's not oh man. You're automatically putting yourself against like 20 people, dog. Also, I'm completely avoiding saying names because I don't have a dog in that fight. I'm just I observe all of it because I'm around all these people. So I'm just like, yo, I don't want any side of the beef, but I'll talk about it publicly, you know. All right, speaking of beef that I'll talk about publicly, I could put this under consumer dispatch for America, but man, this Trump and Elon shit is crazy because it's the amount of people that the second it got like dicey, oh, they were celebrating, they were popping champagne, posting on social media. Removing the fuck Elon stickers from their cars. It was insane, a complete 180. Because now he said that Trump was on the Epstein plans. And then once he said that, he also tagged Big DT and was like, "Have fun." Man, 2 episodes in a row, we're just talking about gangster moves. I'm fucking around with that one. The first one I was not. This one I am. And people think this started because Trump was going to do something that, and keep in mind, I'm going to paraphrase all of this because I couldn't give two shits about any of it. With all, like, honestly, I just think it's funny how quick people were like, "Oh, Elon doesn't like Trump anymore." It was so quick for it. But apparently, Trump was gonna do a ban on something, or maybe it was the electric cars thing he wasn't gonna do. Elon didn't fuck with it and was like, "Nah, man." Which Elon said some unfavorable things of Trump on Twitter. And then I'm not really sure what made him do it. Like the final straw on the back, you know what I'm saying? But he sent the tweet. He was like, "Yeah, the Epstein files aren't out yet because Trump's on them. Have fun." But then he also said, bookmark this tweet for historical purpose. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was like, what are you planning, dog? Because he does own Twitter. So if there's anyone that's gonna be able to do some shit like that, he also claimed he was like, yeah, he only got into the office because of me. I was like, well, damn, it's too late to say shit like that because you already got him into the office, dog. What's your plan here? You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. I just thought it was crazy how quick everyone did a complete 180 and was like, yo, he doesn't like Trump anymore. That was crazy to me. This is something that I was very excited to do on the pod. Tire season 2. Because whenever I watched season 1, I didn't realize that it was filmed like from when I saw it a while ago. And it was just like a good story. It's a great idea, especially because Shane used to work in like a shop, so he understands like the vibe and like the little subtle stuff that make it more realistic. Plus, just the way they do the camera angles, the people they had in it. It was a great show for season 1. But season 2, I'm telling you, bro, this shit slaps so hard that season 3 is gonna be the best season. I can guarantee it. Just because the way they're building up, they got Vince fucking Vaughn. They got Vince Vaughn to be in this. I was like, yo, that's so hype. It's it was so funny to where I was actively like laughing out loud multiple times an episode. It wasn't even just like oh, that was a good moment for this episode. No, 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 no. It was like multiple, I'm telling you, multiple times I was just cackling. Whew. Now keep in mind, I don't want to say I'm biased because I've been watching a bunch of these comedians just tell jokes naturally, like on YouTube and some in person. But still, you know what I'm saying. It was one of the best TV shows I've seen in a while, and I will stand on that because I know whenever I watched Tires, I said the exact same thing. So it pretty much just brought back the exact same feeling of like, yo, this shit slaps. This is the best TV you've seen in a while. And it for sure is. So if it's on Netflix, if you have not watched Tires yet, you should watch Tires. It's crazy because like everyone's so relatable. You feel like you're a mixture of like all the characters, which is what a great show has, of course. So, man, bravo to, and it was so cool to see at the end whenever they do the credits, which episode it tells you, which is like, oh, this episode is written by Joe DeRosa. This one is written by McKelver. This one's or McKelvey. It's McKelvey. I think I remember seeing Shane. I don't think about it. I the name I saw that I remember seeing the most was Joe DeRosa, and I was like, hey, good for Joe, because he was even in some episodes. I was like, oh shit, They got this man DeRosa in there. Let's go. And then Big J Ogerson was in. Oh, the cameos were hype. Oh, I'm so excited. But you should watch Tires season 2. That shit was so funny. And I just like the idea of all these Netflix shows that like all these random different types of people watch the of different classes of society. They're just going on their Netflix to watch their either like soap opera shows or dramas or reality show, whatever they're watching, and then they see number one on Netflix, like Tires, what is that? And then if they watch that, that would turn them sideways, dude. Okay, I guess I could talk about this now. Benched opinion. Benched opinions. And I was just saying recently how nothing's happening in sports. I had nothing to talk about. Boy, did I fucking step on my own foot there. And I even talked about this exact thing happening in a previous podcast, being like, I hope it doesn't happen. And we're here. Aaron Rodgers. He's he's actively signed to the Steelers, dude. Like what? That's crazy. People are saying he's married. They see a ring. He went for like 13 million, I think. Total could max out at 19. It's like 1 year contract. I was like, oh my gosh, are you serious, bro? It just feels very, I don't know, like trying to turn face, like he's trying to do something with this move. Because the first game he plays in early October, I mean, not October, early September, guess who he faces at MetLife Stadium? Fucking the Jets. What are the odds there? I was like, oh my goodness gracious, dude. And he's still wearing number 8. Green Bay Packers is one of the teams that whenever I was like 10, 11, 12, however old, I just picked them and stuck with them for my whole entire life. So, whenever I saw that he left Green Bay, I was like, okay, it would be like if Braun left Lakers. I'm still gonna be like, yes, I respect him. He did a lot of shit for us, you know what I'm saying? But now it's like he's just trying to build some type of character arc that he's like, oh yeah, uh, you all don't know much about me, and I'm getting married, blah 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 blah. And then he's going on like, all these podcast tours, and I'm like, what is happening, dog? What is going on? Steelers? That's crazy to me. And I guess 13 mil could max out at 19 mil. It's a lot of money. But I think, no. Because even some of it said inside the Steelers locker room, some players have expressed frustration over the slow, drawn out QB saga. That's so weird. There's a Times of India article in the headline. It says Aaron Rodgers just bought the wildest mansion in Pittsburgh. And people worry about the fucking weirdest things with famous people. It doesn't make sense to me. But yes, Aaron Rodgers is going to the Steelers. And I had to talk about this because I previously said I did not want it to happen. And that's what I get for saying it on the pod. I need to redo episode 2 of this season too. Just saying. Have boundaries. Be able to be like, no, boop, kabosh. I wasn't even going to talk about this, but it's all over X right now. And I was like, oh my gosh. Well, of course this happened because everyone said this was going to happen. But Greta Thunberg, and look, I'm not responsible enough to talk about this conversation. I'm just repeating it on my podcast in case people listening to this have never heard of it. You know what I'm saying? In case they didn't get the word on social media, I'm the one that they're getting this from, which is a terrifying thought. But she's saying kidnapped. But then people are also posting a bunch of like, this is what kidnapped really is, and it shows like an actual like girl getting kidnapped, and I'm like, I'm not trying to see that. That's fucked. But then there's videos going around of her, like this picture of her smiling. There's videos of her getting handed a sub sandwich and she's just smiling intently at it. I don't know. I'm not mature enough to have this type of conversations, but I'm more than able to read a bunch of shit on social media, and they were not having it. They really were not having it. There were people that were not happy with her. All right, I figured I'm gonna do a Drew's top five for this episode too, but the topics it's gonna be my top five favorite episodes of season two so far. Because I do have an order, I will say. There's some that I admit your boy was lacking because I was like, fuck, it's Monday. In my opinion, I shouldn't have recorded a pod and I should have just skipped that week, but I didn't, and I still made it. But these five are like, yes, I like these specifically. And as I always do, even though the last episode Brandon fucking started at one, I was like, what are you doing, bro? But number five is episode 10. And that is mainly because I really got to go into the G Shock story where I was like, yo, I've told some people this, I've mentioned it on season one. I don't know who saw it from there. But this was a crazy moment in my life and I caught it on camera. And it was just me taking a risk and trying to sneak into a private event and it worked. So I was like, that was super cool. I went into detail on that. Number four is episode 12. And that's the one where I did a deep dive into CTZ and I basically was transparent and was like, yo, I fucked up. I'm not the best CEO, but I'm working on it. I'm trying. And I also talked about Peter Antonio. I still don't know how to say his name, but he's coming and I'm going to ask him. But dude, I went into detail how he fucked my mind up and I still don't know how he did his trick. But yes, I went into detail on that and that was a super fun COD review. Number three is episode two. And that's because I say many and many times that like I've changed and I try to be more mature and I I try to not make it like season one where I go and I just rant and talk shit and yada yada. Because if I talk about relationships, it's gonna start turning more sour than sweet. And so season two, I was just like, I'm gonna talk about relationships this episode, and I'm not gonna bite my tongue, which I did a few times. But I was like, this is the one episode that I'm just gonna get it on the line. It's gonna be right here, and that's it. Too nice of a person, I will say. And genuinely, I really am in the boat. And this might be sad. This might be efficient for me, for what I'm trying to do in my life currently. But I was thinking the other day, and if I was thinking this to myself, it's not good because I'm thinking this about myself. I was like, dude, am I fucking like a content robot now? I was like, I don't have the motivation to go get like a relationship and I'm basically everything I said in episode 2. But now it's like it's on 10 to the point to where that was I did this, not this. There's a difference in my but it's to a level where like I don't here. I'm gonna put a scenario out there and see if you would be able to do this, okay? And this might be putting too much on the line, but this is the last episode. This is the finale, so I don't fucking care. You could talk to me about it whenever you see me next, maybe. If you were just chilling, doing you in your day to day life, and your ex got back in your life, but then it was more of a just talking to you as like a friendly advice type of role, or like just ranting to you to get stuff off of their chest type of role, would you be able to accept it and give like helpful responses, or would you just be like, nah, I can't do that? Because by with the way I'm at in my life, I thought it'd be two, but it's not. It's really not. I've just been over here chilling. I thought it would bother me. I thought it would, I would get like, this feels weird. I don't feel like anything, which is wild. And why I felt like the whole robot thing. So I was like, this is not normal. Okay, that was a lot to. That was a little preview of what what episode 2 was looking like, pretty much, I guess. And then my number 2 is episode 1, because, buddy, was I ready to get back and talk about just life. Like, I love talking. I really do love talking. As much as it might not seem like it with the shit I talk. And then if you talk to me in person, I can be extremely quiet at points. But I just love expressing ideas. And it sounds so lame to say, but I really do. I can't help it. I will just sit and talk to a YouTube video for hours if I have stuff to talk about. I'll just be like, yeah, what's up? Let's keep it going, keep it rolling. We're good. And season 2, episode 1, I was itching to start the pod for so long. And I always stepped on my own foot and was like, well, I'm not going to do it then because I'm not going to have time to keep it going afterwards. Whenever I made the episode 1, I was just like, fuck it, I'm doing it. I'm putting my foot down. I'm starting it here. And I did. And I mean, is it the best quality? Is it the best setup? The best, everything else? It's not what it is now, but it's also, it's still not too long ago to where, like, it's still relevant. It's still kind of how I felt for a majority of the stuff. But I was itching to get back, and I was so ready to start talking again on a podcast. I was like, I need this to come back. Which, of course, leads my number 1 to be episode 18. And that was just one of the that was the most fun podcast episode I've made out of both 2 seasons that I've made. And just because I had Brandon there in person, it was a fun time. And I know in season 1 there was times where I had people in the room with me. I'm pretty sure it wasn't like an official, like, you can hear us both nicely and stuff. But I did it previously. This time was different because it was planned. He was the guest of the episode, specifically him. We plus it's just me and Brandon, so like we drive very well. We can have like a genuine conversation, which helps. Plus the stuff we were talking about was a fun topics. So it was fun topics. But yeah, so it's episode 10, which is the G-Shock event. Episode 12, which is the CTZ and the Peter Antonio. Episode 2, which I talk about relationships. Episode 1, I was just really eager to get back out there. And then episode 18, shout out to Brandon. So that was probably, yeah, this is definitely my top 5. And I was like, I'm not going to be corny and put episode 19, season 2 in the list because I haven't even watched this back as I'm editing it. This might be a bust. Who knows? I hope not, though. I really do. Because either way, I'm sending it out on this. I put too much into this than I should have already. Hopefully, I cut out a bunch of shit earlier. I don't know. This is what podcasts are for, man. Put too much on the internet so it just lives up there. Alright. Next, I'm going to do a card review. And this one, it hurts me to say. Well, not, I don't want to say it hurts me to say, but it's Eric Griffin. And I like Eric Griffin. He's a really nice dude. He's funny. I tried to get as many people as I could to come watch the show this weekend. It didn't really work out. But man, I'm telling you, he deserves to have at least 2 sold out shows in a weekend. 100%. This specific weekend, well, I guess last weekend, was Luke Willoughby. Shout out Luke. It was Luke's first time like getting an actual paid gig at the comedy club. So he was very hyped. And we were all hyped for him. He did good. We had Patrick Passafoon. Shout out to Patrick. He's really just doing like focusing on wrestling and stuff like that right now because he's like a professional wrestler. So he popped in. It was good to see, good to catch up with him. He was there for the Jay Farrow show, which because him and Jay are friends, of course. But so shout out to Patrick. He did good as well. But Eric, he's just he's a road dog to the level of like he could pull up to whatever city, whatever state he's in, and he's just comfortable whenever he gets up on stage. The character he is, like not like character, but like just who he is about him, he's so comfortable around a bunch of strangers to talk about the most random shit. And he's genuinely funny too. So I guess that helps in your confidence of talking to strangers if you know you're funny. But the Thursday show, he just walked in and was just like talking to him. I was like, okay, so he just got in. He's probably just gonna test out the waters. He got off stage and was like, that was a weird crowd. But then Friday, he came back and he was just fucking killed it, of course, for both shows. But it was like polar opposite. Like he did a 180 on topics. He started at the same, talking about voting and stuff. But the crowd was like, also different, of course, because it's a difference between a Thursday and a Friday show. But he still, there's just this different confidence that you walk up of like, listen, I can walk off this stage. You walk in, like leave a review. You walk and send me messages on social media. I don't care if you didn't enjoy the show. I know I'm funny. I'm seeing people have a good time. So if the one person in the back or that table in the left corner, if you're not having a good time, I don't care. I'm still getting paid. And honestly, I respect that view more than like trying to do a complete pivot on stage and switching your content to try to get that other like the few in the corner to laugh. Just rock with it. If you're that confident and you actually are funny, just fuck whoever's not having a good time. This is a comedy club. They can leave. So I definitely I respected that view. Plus, he was one of the ones that it wasn't often, but there was like a few tables that would just pipe up every now and then, just conversation because they're drunk. I went to some girl and was like, "Hey, look, you guys stop yelling. You're interrupting the show." She did for a little bit, and then she piped up again. I went back, and the boyfriend was like, "My bad, man. She's drunk." And I was like, "Yo, you're interrupting the show. Please, can you just whisper?" As I was doing it, I look up and I see this man Eric, and he's a bigger dude with the microphone at the edge of the stage, just staring at us. And I'm just like, "Oh fuck!" And he's like, "Man, why don't you listen to him? Do you not think we can all hear you?" And she thinks it's playful. So she's like, "Ah ha ha ha, I was just talking." And then he puts the hammer down pretty much and it's just like, "No, are you that drunk? You seriously don't think everyone can hear your conversation?" He just went in on it. And I was just like slowly walking back. I was like, okay. He took care of that pretty much. And then like 2 minutes later, she walked up, went out, left the room. The boyfriend followed. He looked back. Eric did and was like, "Oh, why'd they leave? She can't go 5 minutes without talking." And I was like, "Okay." So that pretty much settled the rest of the show of like, "Hey, we're not gonna talk." And I love a comedian that will put themselves on the line like that because it's not often that the crowd is like, "Hey, you're being an asshole to her. Chill out." But it does happen. I will say, if there's a woman on the other side of the room that didn't hear her conversation specifically and she didn't pay attention to how this started, but then she's drunk and she caught consciousness as he's actively saying, "You dumb bitch, did you not think we can hear you?" She's there's the moments where they think I have to be Wonder Woman at this time and I have to save this fucking woman. And so they pipe up. Luckily that didn't happen. Luckily everyone was just like, "Yeah, shut the fuck up, bitch." Boo. And I was like, okay. That helped a lot. So shout out to Eric, man. I was luckily off Saturday, so I didn't have to work Saturday. Hopefully it was good shows, I would assume. I don't think it sold out. I wish it would have, but I think maybe it got like I don't know how much. I'm not gonna say numbers wise on the pod. But yeah, shout out to Luke. It was his first actual like paid gig at the club. Patrick, it was nice to see him, and then Eric, of course, he was. I like. Plus, I made Eric a promo for because he streams on Twitch, Warzone. I made a promo of him like in the how it shows you in the Warzone like airplane as you're about to deploy. But instead of the soldier, it's Eric's face, and then it's his dates with his social media stuff below it. And he actually followed me from making that on Instagram. I was like, hey, shout out to Eric, he's cool. And I guess while I'm talking about comedy and promos, I should talk about, I made a open mic promotion for, it's not the, okay, so the list that I used to come up with the names that I put onto this promotion, every open mic I take a picture of the list just for my knowledge of this is who was there, or if I ever want to pull it up on this date, I can be like, oh, okay, well, this was the lineup here. I was going back through those pictures, and I was just looking up names, because there's a lot of repeat names, but there's also new names. So I wanted to have the core people that I normally see, and then have a few people who are like newer to get like a fire under their ass to go back and continue trying comedy, because they're like, oh shit, I got put on a poster. What I unknowingly did was I left out some people that in my mind, oh shit, of course they should be on there. But conveniently, like, within while I was making the list, I didn't read their name, or they weren't there that weekend or something. So I was like, fuck, man. All right. So I made a second list, and I re-added those people back to it. I might add it to the pod, because I mean I just have it saved still. But there were people not happy. There's people like, especially from the comedy Civil War drama I was saying earlier. They were like, this person's on there, but I'm not on there. That's crazy, man. And some people didn't know who made it. So I made it and I posted it. Colin, that runs Wildcat Co., he was like, hey, yo, you should send me that. And I was like, I got you. So I sent it, but people were missing. So I added like Paris, and then I made it a list to add like Jericho and basically like Luke Diamond, some other people too. And I got to the open mic and I started to ask around. And I was like, yo, did you see that promo? And they were like, oh yeah, man, that was so fucking cool. And I was like, yeah, uh, I told them about missing people, and they're like, oh shit, you made that? And I was like, yeah. And then I also realized nobody reads descriptions on photos. Because in the post that the Wildcat Co. made, it says at the bottom, made, like, shout out to, and it has, like, me tagged for making it. Nobody reads any of that. They're just like, holy shit, I'm in a, whoa. And they zoom in on themselves, and they probably screenshot it or share it to their story. And they're like, oh, that's dope. Shout out to Colin. And I was like, all right, man. It's whatever. It's whatever. I was just happy that Eric appreciated and was like, yo, that's dope. And he followed me back. I was like, hey, shout out to you, boy. And so, how I always end the podcast is shout out to a real one. I hate myself for doing this, but it's the honest truth. This week's shout out to a real one is you watching this. And just me saying that, I wanted to hit myself in the face. But, genuinely, if you are watching this and you have watched the past fucking 19 episodes, you are a real one. Because there is times where I'm just on here and I'm rambling. I'm talking some nonsense. I'm bullshitting. It's a lot of random Drew talk that some people can't handle. So if you're watching this, you're a real one, and I do appreciate you. And that's been it for season 2. Well, alright. I will see you in, I'm not sure when, hopefully sooner than later. But season 3. Thanks for watching.